Hello and welcome to New Game Plus. I'm Tim and I'm not joined by Kirsty.
No, you're not joined by Kirsty. She's decided that she needs to be away from us all for a week, which is fine, whatever, we don't judge. But no, you're stuck with me. Like the good old days, Tim. The good old days.
Stuck with you.
Yeah, right. We'll get through it. We'll get through it together. But I guess we start off with look at the Tomb Raider HD, which is...
an interesting one because it's only on the next-gen consoles. It's not on PC, which is...
a little bit odd. Yeah. We've also got a look back on 40 years of Dungeons & Dragons, which is Aussie, comes down
very much so.
It.
And we're having a look at a lot of eShop stuff for the 3DS.
Yeah, and it's also, I guess, I'm not an end of an era, but the end of something. Because Brad's last anime one for a while. He's going off to study Japanese. He's going to be...
How exciting.
He's going to be a Japan man.
Yes, like the rest of the crew.
Well,
Japan people.
That's true, yeah, that's pretty true. But he's going to do it officially, so we wish him the best luck, and so this is his last one for a while. But from that kind of sadness, I guess we move on to happiness with Tomb Raider HD. Now, one of the very few games that have come out this year so far, Cardi, is Tomb Raider, what is it, the Deluxe Edition? What are they calling it?
I guess you could say it's well defined.
That's
Definitive edition,
right,
exactly.
Okay. So I played Tomb Raider last year. It was good. I enjoyed it. I thought what they did with Lara was fine. Did you play it last year?
No, I didn't. So effectively, the Definitive Edition is my first foray into the Tomb Raider reboot, so to speak. So I've played the previous games, but that's not what's sharing the limelight at the moment. It is this game. So, pretty much going down to brass tacks, it is essentially a repackaging of the game. So you do have a bit of DLC, you do have the main storyline, but pretty much the graphical upgrades is the meat and
So I guess that's probably the big question out of the way. There's no real enhancements besides what you would have received if you paid for all the DLC.
Yes.
Except for the fact that it's got Tress effects. And it's got all this kind of stuff. Yet the hair still defies gravity, as one of our community members pointed out.
Oh yes, absolutely. And that he didn't play the game because of that.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I don't know. So as somebody like me who's played through it twice, who enjoyed the experience, but I mean, there's no real incentive to go back. Nobody plays the multiplayer anyway.
Yes.
I mean, am I going to take anything else away from it?
Well, I mean, the core game was fantastic, and from what I can see, I never played the original, but this was kind of like jumping straight into it. I felt almost obligated to do so because it's the Definitive Edition. I haven't played it yet, so put two and two together. I mean, the visuals are really, really good. The environments are fantastic.
Yeah.
Character models, pretty decent, but unfortunately they didn't do anything with the animation, so it really steers into Uncanny Valley, which is a bit concerning.
Yeah, because I mean that's always the hard part when you have these next gen. If you don't it's the one thing that I'll pay for Rise. Like the animations were spot on for the faces. Like I mean, like that was why it was okay because it beat Uncanny Valley in this. Is they haven't really done much to the animations.
Well, on the flip side, if you take things into context, I mean, what was their turnaround? Their deadline was maybe about a year and a bit working with this new technology. So you got to give them props where it's due.
Yeah, look, I guess that's fine. I guess if there's anything to say, it's that if you hadn't played it previously, it's worthwhile. If you're desperate to play it again,
well, if there's one thing to say about it, one thing that I can take from it is introducing this to a new audience, or to an audience that they don't have much games because there's nothing coming out until about March. So hopefully it encourages other studios to maybe re-release their stuff. I mean, like hint, Sony, Naughty Dog, The Last of Us on PS4, please.
Yeah, well, one can only hope.
Yes.
His hair will look wonderful.
Very pretty.
Now, Tomb Raider HD, you played it on PC, so you've effectively already played this.
Yes, so like the HD, well, the improved edition or whatever it's called, most of it's like PC stuff just going to the next-gen console.
So, and because that's what I thought. I thought they released it on the PC like they did with, say, like Deus Ex, where they released like Deus Ex on Wii U and PC and stuff. But no, it turns out that they've just straight up...
Yeah. Although, that said, it does look nice on the new consoles, but I don't think it's worth me getting it again.
Is it worth buying it again? Again, particularly as a PC player, I mean, you still see Lara get murdered in horrible, horrible ways. You still see some decent gunplay and some decent crawling around and decent this. It all plays the same.
And it still looks fantastic on the PC, so why bother?
Yeah, it really seems odd. Like, I can understand how they do Devil May Cry 10 years after Devil May Cry came out. They do
release an HD version. Yeah. You can relive that nostalgia, but having an HD version of like something that just happened, not so much.
It just sounds to me like they realise that at the moment there's a big empty gap of release titles for the consoles.
Yeah.
And something needs to be there.
Yeah.
So let's make it Tomb Raider. But it's also, I mean, then we also have the people arguing, oh no, it's 1080 on PS4 and it's 720 on Xbox One. But for me, the frame rate's way better on Xbox One. So I don't know, it's take it or leave it. Who cares?
I'm taking a step back in time to review Game of Watchcraft Spawn of Squishy, which is a great little game made in the Game & Watch style. So the game itself, as you can see, looks like a Game & Watch game. Your character only moves where the existing sprites are, same with all the enemies, and the whole point of the game is to move around the bottom screen and complete quests, to then move into the top screen and complete a different set of quests. As it is, I guess, replicating a Game & Watch style of game, the controls are on the screen. You have your D-pad to the left and your action button to the right. And this is where it starts to fall down for me. I didn't have a Game & Watch growing up, but I did have a Game Boy, so I'm used to tactile buttons. And considering this game does get quite fast-paced and reactionary, more often than not, you will find your thumbs just hitting the wrong side of the screen and you'll die out of sheer frustration. This isn't something that's wrong with the game, it's just an issue that is inherent to this kind of games. The gameplay itself is very difficult as well, in that you're supposed to collect like items, like you collect 3 different kinds of items from defeating the boss in the top level, but if you get hit by a gremlin or by a monster or by a stray fireball, everything completely resets and you go back to the start. Now the game does change a bit in that it makes it go from harder missions like kill goblins to easier missions like collect chests, so it does help if you suck like I do, but it still does make the game a bit frustrating. However, the game looks fantastic, sounds fantastic, and if you can get the hang of it, it can be a really fun game.
Now, it's a very special anniversary because you're the anniversary guy, Oz.
Yes.
That's what you do.
That's what I do. That's my, yeah.
It was a very special one the other day, the other month.
Last month, yes.
Of 40 years for
Dungeons and Dragons.
And we
the
thought
pen and paper style.
Yeah, okay. We have to clarify that, of course. And we figured it was appropriate to bring it up simply because of its impact on gaming in general. Because let's face it, the majority of the games we play perhaps wouldn't exist without Dungeons and Dragons.
Very much so, and more so each year. So it started off things like this, which is Dungeons and Dragons.
That's actually
basic.
So that's made from this thing called paper.
Paper.
Right.
Made
and
from
so what
destroyed trees.
So you people actually destroyed trees in your day in order to play. It boggles the mind how far we've come.
Yes.
And
it was all in the mind.
It was all in the. I think that's the big thing as well that video games gave us was you no longer had to imagine things because people would draw you.
You could actually draw pictures and show people.
And it's come across in gaming. I mean, people think of the obvious ones: the Baldur's Gate,
Neverwinter's Nights, the Gold Box series by SSI, things like that.
That's going back even again.
Yeah. Pool of Radiance, your favourite game.
Yeah. Well, it's like all of these classic games that people know of, and they instantly kind of, I guess, affiliate with Dungeons and Dragons. It's that medieval kind of beholders, magic missiles, that kind of stuff. But realistically, the same kind of tenets that underpin Dungeons and Dragons underpin so many games that we play.
Well, yeah, like the Baldur's Gate series and Neverwinter Nights and that was pretty much BioWare's baby for years.
That was their bread and butter for many years.
But in a way, then because of that, they got the license for the Star Wars system, which was based on the D20 paper system, which was based on Dungeons and Dragons. And now they took what they learnt from that and made the Mass Effect series. So it's all connected.
And this is the thing, like, again, RPGs you expect, even, Japanese ones, went off on their own kind of tangent with it.
But it's still
based
on things like Wizardry and Ultima.
Yeah, and the crit chances are at 5% each because of the idea that you can only have 20 sides. Anyway, things like that. But I think it even goes further than that. I think even into shooters, particularly nowadays. I mean, even when you're shooting, say you're shooting with an M4 in Call of Duty, and you're shooting at someone, and you're 100 meters away, it's still rolling the chance of how much damage and when you're hitting them.
It's all dice roll still.
Yeah, and I think that's the amazing
And when you get more experience, which is another thing from Dungeons and Dragons, and you've got hit points and all that kind of stuff. But when you get more experience, you might be more experienced with that gun. You get plus 5%, which is just another +1 on your D20 roll.
And this is the thing. I think when it's all said and done, there's so much that we owe to the very simple Gary Gygax invented Dungeons and Dragons system.
Yes.
It's kind of sad that he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
But I guess how do we best honor his memory, Oz? What would you like to do right now to honor his memory?
I still think the thing his son said to him once, he asked his son one day, do you prefer computer role-playing games or pen and paper? And his son was like 8 years old or something, and his son said, I like the pen and paper because the pictures are better.
Oh, charming. Miyazaki level charming.
Yeah.
Shane, guess what?
What?
I get to be excited.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is not that rare. But anyway, Nipponichi brought out another game. I love that developer oh so much. Disgaea D2.
Dimension.
Yeah, that'll do. But it's out now exclusively on the PS3. I'm excited. I love this game.
I'm a little bit excited. I've touched on a few of the games. I haven't really completed or smashed out any of the other ones, but this one I actually really enjoyed.
Well, to be a bit less more of a fanboy now, I guess. I mean, Lahal, the main character, if you play the previous Disgaea games, he is now the overlord of the Netherworld, and as a result, has to do netherworldly duties. But because he's a little punk kid, no one really kind of trusts him or follows him at all.
Yeah, it does go around the story that he has to gain the confidence of all the underworld and how he has to fight everyone to be able to, make them follow him. But I don't know how that really works. People follow anger and
It's
stuff.
anime game, man. They can do what they want. But for those who have not played a Disgaea game before, it is a strategical RPG. So an isometric surface where you and your party of people who you can customize take turns moving on a grid, fighting, I guess, opponents doing the same thing.
They do mix in a few things, I think, with this new game. They had the reincarnation system where if you get up to a specific, well, it doesn't have to get a specific level. You can reincarnate, you get stronger every level, and it just is a pretty cool system. What they've got, the whole, what is it, embassy system?
The embassy system, yes, the Dark Embassy system, which is a system they've had for a while now, but it does really change the game up with being able to vote for things to either make enemies stronger, make them weaker. If you don't win the vote, you can just fight them. Again, with reincarnations, Disgaea D2 brought promotions into it, which made the game a lot easier. You don't go all the way back to level 1 when you reincarnate, you just go to the next class and move on. For those who've played Disgaea games before, the old stuff is back to the old geo-block puzzle systems. It's not just moving around a grid, you got to make sure you're on the right square, or you could wind up killing yourself straight away.
Yeah, the strategy really comes into that, geo-grid stuff. Some of the invincible, blocks that you get only done, enemies just get in that really annoying spot, and you're like, what do I do? I don't know.
It's a thinker's game, man. Disgaea. It's an anime game, always a thinker's game. The 1990s were a really big decade for anime. A lot of huge powerhouse series came out, and they've all been recently re-released back here again in Australia. So let's check 3 older series you may not have seen yet.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Cowboy Bebop was released in 1998, and it's one of the power players of Gateway anime series. If you have not seen anime at all before, Cowboy Bebop is a fantastic place to get going. It's a 26 episode long series. It's been re-released on Blu-ray, and it's all about the adventures of Spike and his crew traveling through space for about the first half of the season. Then it starts getting very dark very, very quickly. The English dub is fantastic. So again, if you want an easy watch or an easy way to get into anime as a whole, Cowboy Bebop is a fantastic starting point.
Will somebody please cue that fight?
Samurai pizza cat.
Oh yeah!
Who do you call when you want some pepperoni? Samurai pizza cat.
Right on!
They're stamping out crime, and you know that ain't baloney. They're Speedy Ceviche, he's the leader of the bunch.
That's right.
A heck of a fighter, makes a heck of a lunch.
Any 80s kids really might remember this one. Good old Samurai Pizza Cat. So it came out in 1990, was licensed in 1991 by Saban, and was distributed on Australian early television. The interesting thing about Samurai Pizza Cats is the fact that when the English team got it, they weren't given a script, so they had to kind of make do and do what they want, and as a result, the English dub is incredibly different from the Japanese one. There's a lot of different pop references in there from the 90s, references like John Travolta, all kinds of crazy stuff. There's a lot of nostalgia. If you're a fan of the series, obviously you're probably going to want to get into it, but if you haven't seen it before, you might find yourself a little bit lost in all the references. finally, we have the 3-arc series, Revolutionary Girl Utena, released in 1996. Very different to Cowboy Bebop in the way it was actually created, because it's still on that in film, so the HD remaster is a little bit shaky, but it talks about Utena Tenjo, and she is attending All-3 Academy. She finds a friend named Anthe Himemia, however, she has to fight to marry her and be a Rose Bride. It all doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it gets weirder and weirder as it goes on, but it's a lot of fun, and you can completely skip the middle arc if you don't like filler. That's it for 90s series. There's a lot more, so if you're curious about that kind of stuff, look up anime from the 1990s. You never know, you might find a series you very well may like.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm very excited for the Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay, so obviously they're taking on Blizzard in the EMMO world.
Yeah.
But they're also taking on Blizzard in the cinematic world, because that made Blizzard's pretty high quality CG look like garbage.
Yeah, it's certainly a great cinematic. Obviously, we only showed a portion of it there, and it's a really good cinematic. Go look it up online, but yeah, it's like 8 minutes long. So.
And you've also been lucky enough to actually be playing the game at the moment, which is, I guess, is a... I guess the big question is, like, you know, as a WoW kid, you know, is there enough there for you to justify being there?
Yeah, it doesn't look like the cinematic, obviously, but if only it did. It does fill in that slot, like, in between an MMO and an Elder Scrolls game. It's not... It's a good mix of both, I feel. Like, you can play it like an Elder Scrolls game, but it'll still slightly feel like an MMO. And from what I've played of it, I've really enjoyed so far.
Well, see, you've still got some time on it as well, which is good, so we'll have a big wrap next week for it. But I guess it's good that you're enjoying it, because, like, Skyrim was never my, oh my god, game of the year, I love it so much.
But it was still a good game.
But yeah, but if I was bored, I'd put it on, because it'd be like, sweet, I can go do something. So this sounds like it might fill that niche perfectly.
Yeah, maybe.
Now, Christmas is a wonderful time of year, I'm told, but it's not great for console game releases.
No, it's been specifically quiet this year as well with the launch of the new consoles. So we've had a bit of time to kind of go back and really touch on the Nintendo 3DS.
Yes, and so what we thought we'd do is we'd download some of the stuff on the 3DS. It's one of the stores that I haven't really had much exposure to.
No, same.
So I thought, stuff it.
Let's do it.
Let's get some stuff going. So I guess the first one we'll cover is Attack of the Friday Monsters.
Yes.
Which is a game by Level 5 who do pretty much every 3DS game ever.
And I have to say that this game is basically Japan in a video game.
Yeah,
it just felt so Japanese. So the whole kind of premise of the game is you're with this like maybe 9 or 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, it's Kamimato
new to town.
Sota, his name is.
Sota is his name, and he's going around kind of acquainting himself with this town that seems to be attacked by monsters every Friday.
Every Friday, and it's just every Friday. And so the whole game is effectively you go around, you meet kids, you try and collect like magic fighting cards.
Yep.
And it's really simple, and it's just this kind of wonderful romp through a 10-year-old's imagination in the 70s in outskirts of Tokyo.
And I have to say, they really nailed that.
Yeah.
Like, even the sound effects make it sound like a Japanese anime because it is that same cricket chirping summer.
The rail crossing.
Yeah, everything about it. And also, they live in this imaginary world almost. Like, the way when he kind of talks to his children, you put spells on them if you beat them at the card game. And you actually do feel like you're a 10-year-old living that again.
Yeah.
And I found that really charming and made me very interested in continuing the game.
The story does get a little bit confused, and the gameplay's, like, you won't go back and play this for the gameplay. You might want to go back and be a completionist and beat everyone at cards, sure. But when it's all said and done, I feel happy that I experienced this game. I think it's still a really good experience.
Yes.
The flip side is Hana Samurai, where the core premise is you're a samurai chosen by a kappa, which is weird considering kappas normally steal kids, whatever, I'm not questioning it. Give you a magical sword, and the idea is you've got to overthrow the
evil samurai kind of going on. And it does feel a bit Mario at times because it's literally you go to the kind of bosses
castle.
And the princess is in another castle.
Yeah.
But that being said, the gameplay mechanics are very, very simple.
It's
you
punch
basically
out. It's straight up punch out.
Essentially, you just have to dodge and blow at the right time.
Yeah, and some people have different patterns, some will have different attack animations. So it's about dodging the right way, it's about blocking at the right times. Your resources are really limited, so you've actually got to make the use of them. It's actually a challenging game.
And that's the thing that got me, is this game, it gets sometimes frustratingly difficult, where in comparison to Attack of the Friday Monsters, where there is really very little difficulty in that game. So if you're looking for a challenge, Hana Samurai is definitely the way
and then
to
you
go.
get into like the 50 thug mode, the 30 thug mode, and
there's also I love those little side games at the little town. You know, everyone again is really charming in this game as well, particularly the good guys, even the bad guys.
It's really. I was really surprised. I went into it not thinking anything good would be on the 3DS store, but I came out of it pleasantly surprised. So the 3DS, Tim, you've got one. Do you still play yours much? Or?
Not much. I think I'd play more if I had an XL, but and some good games.
Yes, and this is the one thing that I was really surprised at. Like, we know about Xbox Live, we know about Steam. You know what I mean? Like, they're the ones that we know you get good, cheap games, like heaps of stuff. But I mean, for the money we spent on those 3DS games, they were friggin' awesome.
Yeah, and when you look at the eShop, they're generally full price titles, and but if you can pick up some small like WarioWare sort of games.
Well, I think that was a handy part because it was complementing the time which I had Fire Emblem I was playing, which is big, long, drawn out. Each battle takes 20-30 minutes. Yeah. This was I can play two stages, save it, get out of dodge. You know what I mean? And I think again I was really surprised at the quality of offerings there. But que sera.
Yes.
It's time to end the show though, Tim, I believe.
Yes, it is. You've got big things to look forward to next week. Elder Scrolls preview.
Octodad.
Which I'm very excited. Octodad as well.
Dadley's Catch. Best pun in the industry.
Yes. Best game name I think I've heard for quite a while. Let's see if it's as good as the name.
Well, that's true. That's true. But do the thing.
Yep. So visit our website, www.newgameplus.tv.
Facebook.com/NewGamePlusTV.
And follow Twitter at NewGamePlusTV.
Also follow YouTube.com/NewGamePlusTV.
Yes. And also follow Twitch.tv/NewGamePlusTV.
We didn't even practice that. Yes. That was wonderful. We did very, very well.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much, Tim, for having me, and hopefully you get Kirsty back next week.
Hopefully.
I think the audience prefers that as well.